Commissioners, this is a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, August the 20th at 6:20 p.m. Would you please call the roll, Joanne?
Commissioner
Here.
Commissioner Rindle?
Here.
Commissioner Rollins?
Here.
Commissioner Vogelsett? Here. Commissioner Shorett? Here.
Commissioners, there's a change to the agenda. We're going to move under regular business. We're going to hear the report from the golf course architects first, and then we'll open the floor for questions and comments from the audience after that presentation. So at this time, I'd like to, first of all, welcome everybody here to the second community hearing on the golf course. We appreciate everybody taking out of their time to visit with us and give us your comments. And we've already had some really good ones throughout the last year and the last meeting. And at this time, I'll welcome Wayne Brainswaith to the podium, and who will make his presentation. Wayne is with the architectural firm of Price Fazio. Wayne?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. Kosky, and ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for coming today. I think many of you were here at our last meeting, and certainly appreciated the comments that you gave and brought to us. So with those comments, we really began to look at what we were going to do with this golf course. And Tom will speak in more detail as we move forward, but the first thing was really to revisit the objectives, what we believe are the objectives of this project. And that is to create a world-class facility, a golf destination, one that is available to all residents of Boca, designed to meet the needs of all kinds of golfers, high handicaps, low handicaps, juniors, seniors. And a project that incorporates environmental practices as well as sustainability, and also a project that is financially sound. With that in mind, I'm going to introduce you to some of our team members who will give you an update as to where they are in the process. And I'll call on Charles Putnam, our land planner.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Putman. I'm going to be doing the land planning on this project. And right now, our role is to assist with putting together the right elements of the project. Once we get there, then my office will be pulling together the actual detailed master plan with all of the necessary information on it. And then we'll be processing everything through the permitting process. Right now, we're waiting for the master plan to be approved. What's that?
Our podium is having problems, so we're just switching out your mic.
Okay.
Hey.
You want me to start again? I didn't think so. Anyway, we'll be, that's our role, and we'll be updating you as we go through the process about permitting issues and progress and schedules and so forth, but that's our role in the project.
Next, I'll call upon Jeff Schnoz, Engineering, Perimeter Survey.
Hello everybody, Jeff Schnars. I represent Schnars Engineering in Perimeter Surveying and Mapping. We are doing a survey and civil engineering on the project. I know that everyone's here to talk about the golf course and not about engineering and survey, but just briefly, this is where we're at today. We've started doing the survey work. We're working on the boundary. So topo, we've got about 25% of the trees located in the field. Nothing's been plotted on the survey yet, but it's been field located. We've also found some some information on drainage and how that works, and some files that we've given to the surveyors to field verify, locate, try to figure out what's really going on out there. This property is part of a 374-acre drainage basin called the Boca. So some of the surrounding development drains into the golf course. Some areas of the golf course have a discharge to Lake Worth Canal, some do not. We will be ensuring that whatever we do, we are going to be making the drainage situation better than what exists out there today. We're also looking into some water and sewer, just trying to get a handle on where everything is. We're going to be looking at the possibility of doing a tunnel under 2nd Avenue, just kind of seeing what might be in the way of trying to do that. That's it for right now. Any questions?
Mary Lindgren represents EW Consultants, our environmentalists. She'll give you an update.
Hello, Mary Lindgren with EW Consultants. We are the environmental consultant for the project. So our role in this first initial phases of the project is to really get out there on the ground and take a look at what's existing, what are the current conditions, and look at it from an ecological perspective. So some of the things we'll be looking at, or we have actually started looking at, the types of vegetation that's out there, the grass, shrubs, and trees, whether there might be any native habitat, large areas of native habitat. We're looking at wildlife utilization, and whether or not there might be a list of species, threatened or endangered species utilized on the property. And then we're looking at the lakes. There's existing lakes, there's some littoral areas associated with those lakes, and whether or not there might be any wetlands or areas classified as wetlands on the property. So we're kind of in the middle of it right now. We're in the initial stages. Some of you may have seen us out there driving or walking around on the property. But we're putting our notes together. I can't say we have any real significant findings at this time. Just some common wildlife, some native trees and shrubs mixed in with exotic trees and shrubs. So we're putting it together and look forward to having some more information for you at the next meeting.
Unfortunately, Nick Price is away still, and hopefully the timing of the next meeting will be perfect. But essentially, about 2 weeks ago, Nick and Tom spent a day out on site walking the entire property, and just to understand what was there, what they felt could be done, and going through basically an investigation and review. And then, as I said earlier, we had the public comments from all of you, and that kicked off a spatial study in understanding what can be done with the property, understanding what the constraints are. And this is not typical of a new project, to where we start with a fixed size of property. We have existing boundaries, and these are constraints that really force us into a box. If you take a look at a property like Osprey Point, they had no constraints there, other than probably wetlands, that kind of thing. But they had no physical boundaries, such as the housing, etc. So our objective was primarily to locate the best 18 holes, and then also the added amenities, the clubhouse, the maintenance center, the hotel. So Tom and Nick basically created some options. I think so many people have seen what's up front here, but I'll let Tom go through the options for you.
Hello, I'm Tom Fazio. We're going to do a quick 101 golf design. So what we look at, we have the three parcels. The east parcel is roughly 72 acres. The northwest parcel is about 80 acres, and the southwest parcel is 62 acres. Okay. So what we found is that this parcel is probably the best parcel for golf. It has the most elevation, it has the least amount of development because we have the one side that is just natural trees. And it's fairly linear, and there's not these out parcels that kind of intrude into the property. This site has it's about 215 acres or such, but it's about 200 usable acres. So what we started with is, we have so many different routing plans in our office, and we've only brought it down to 3 of them. One of the things we did was we started with the driving range, and we basically just did an outline of the driving range, and we have a plan that literally shows a driving range here, a driving range here, a driving range here. And then what we went through is we went through all of the management operations of why that worked or why that didn't work. And there was really only 2 places that we could find that we could fit the driving range. It was on this side, on the north half of this, but it doesn't really make it efficient because with the widths that are here, you really only have enough width to create 2 holes up and back. If you do 3 holes, you get stuck, right? Because if you go up, back, and back up, then you're stuck. Or if you go down, up, and down, it doesn't work. So we felt like the best place for the driving range, or one of the opportunities for the driving range, was here. And we also did a plan where we looked at the driving range here. This is 72 acres, 80 acres, 60 acres. So the 60-acre site, 62-acre site, originally had the maintenance facility and the clubhouse. And so the north parcel, let me jump around. The north parcel, this golf course, existing golf course, was 3794. And if you want to know what that is in terms of the total golf course, basically you can times it by 2. So if you had 2 9s that were 37, you would end up with a 7,500-yard golf course, which is pretty long. This existing 9 holes has a 3,091-yard 9-hole golf course. And if you double that, it would only be 61 or 6,200 yards. So that would be too short. So that 9 holes is actually a little bit short. And this existing 9 holes was 32, 37. So if you double that, it would be about 65. And that's a bit too short. So we felt that we needed to take the clubhouse and the maintenance facility off of this parcel and just create as much golf as we can. So there's a couple options where this shows the driving range and the short course, but what probably best suits that parcel right there is just 9 holes. This being 80 acres is the biggest parcel, so what makes the most sense is that the clubhouse goes in that parcel. And obviously there was a clubhouse, there was a driving range, but we don't feel like it fits a clubhouse and a driving range plus the 9 holes. So we did a quick reference of Osprey Point, which is 225 acres, and if you notice, there's no development or anything around. So what happens with golf is you have like common space, and so if you have multiple holes, you can become much more efficient than if you have a development, a hole, and development, or a development, hole, and development. So the more holes you have, the more efficient, the tighter the space you can get, because you don't need that extra buffer and safety zone, which you do with development. So every parcel and every cul-de-sac or every development that borders golf, we actually need more space. That's what I just said. So what we did a blow up of Osprey Point's driving range, and it's about 13.6 acres, but it's hard to see on this picture. This is just this parking lot alone. It's about a 4-acre parking lot with about 225 spaces. To go back to our existing, so this was our existing clubhouse and parking lot. This was about let's call it 2 acres with 70 spaces. So we really felt it was going to be really hard to get the amount of spaces in this parcel without coming all the way across here and utilizing all this area, which it would have shortened this hole. We would have lost probably 100 yards net on these 2 holes. So that would have brought the total down to, like a 29 or 33,000 yard golf course, which, we just felt was too short. This is an overlay. This is not the driving range. This is an overlay because we've heard comments about let's just move the tee all the way to the back, put it right against the edge, and then you have enough for a driving range. So these right here are Australian pines, which by permit will need to come out. And so if we put this hole here, we're opening up, slices from the driving range over to 10, the driving range over to whatever hole this is, let's say 18, and this is about 200, I can't see on that plan, sorry. It's only about 234 yards from the front of this tee to the back of this range. So with today's golfers, and I mean 234, even with the net, they would probably be hitting the ball over the next set of houses. And with only 1 tee, that's not a very large tee, and so you probably wouldn't have the income as what we're going to show you in later slides with the bigger range, the double-sided tees. One of the big things with driving ranges are you hitting good balls and are you hitting off of good turf? So that is just space. So the bigger the space is, the bigger the tee is, the better conditions you're going to have, and the more recovery you'll have between. So this is the 3 driving ranges side by side as a comparison. These are all the exact same scale. It's hard to see, but if you put one of the houses on top of the other houses, they'd be the same size. So you can see how sort of very small this driving range is in comparison to these 2. What we're thinking would be ideal for this driving range on the east side, but the southeast side, is to angle the tees slightly towards the railroad track, both front and back. And the total space between the condos and the existing trees is 193 yards. But we're not going to give the range a 193 yard wide range. What we're going to do is we're going to create a series of mounds right here with landscaping on it. We're going to focus all of our target greens towards the middle, more towards the thing, and so so you'll be playing in a direction going this way and this way, steadying. So we feel there's plenty of room. There's actually enough room to put a golf hole in this space, but again, you either play yourself down and get stuck, or you have to drive down and play yourself out. So what we feel is we could have a really world-class, whatever it is, teaching facility, etc., and on this section with a short game area, a big tee, possibly short game there, or possibly short game here, but we're leaving this space kind of as a placeholder in case the hotel, there's an advantage for the hotel to expand into that space. If for some reason a hotel feels like that they need that space or could really utilize that space, it may be better served as something else. And then this is just a comparison to see the difference between this range and this range. It's a little bit wider range than what we have. It's a hair shorter, not much. Our tee, both of our tees, this tee is bigger than this tee, but this tee is considerably bigger than this tee. So we'll start with option 3, and option 3 is basically just a straight 27-hole plan. And these are 3 9-holes. They're 3 championship 9 holes. And this is what we feel that we would get if we did a 27 27-hole facility. You'd get, 3 really good 9s, but you would not get any. And to go back to Osprey Point, they're 225 acres. We're at about 200 acres usable. So 25 acres is 2 driving ranges. So unless we want to take this whole parcel or this whole parcel or that, it just doesn't, it doesn't fit without creating some liability issues. So, these would be the things that we would be giving up. We would, eliminate the chance of any collegiate, schools being out here other than just playing the golf course. They wouldn't be able to practice. You would have, loss of income for the range. There's some offsets. I guess we'll be doing some more financial studies to go through the different scenarios. But I'm pushing it. Okay. Option 2, back. There you go. Option 2. Oh, go back to 3? Okay.
So then just to expand a little bit on what Tom said. Yes, we can get 3 9s in, but we're losing a considerable amount of what this project should be and what the objectives of this project are intended to achieve. I think, without a short course, if we go 3 9s, we lose the short course. We lose the ability to attract young players, as well as elderly players who just want to play a few holes in the afternoon. A short course is far less intimidating to new golfers and, frankly, just to people who just want to go out there and have a quick, fun time at the end of an evening or whatever the case may be. With that, also, we lose the ability to develop the hotel further or to develop anything on that piece of property. The hotel area would have to remain the same. I think it's 2.1 acres, and so I think there's a potential loss of revenue from that. It also forces the location of the maintenance center to the side of the old clubhouse area, right on at the corner of the intersection of Northwest 2nd and Jeffrey Street. So I think more than anything, we lose a fundamental and necessary part of what a golf course is. And a golf course, without question, needs a place. You need a place to warm up. You need a place to teach, to create programs, and it's just a fundamental aspect of golf. So for us, whether we design 3 9s or another version of 27, really has no impact to us personally. We don't have a stake in this at all, but we want you to really understand that we can only do so much with the property that we have. And in trying to achieve some of these objectives, unfortunately, that is the result if you just want to have 3 full-size 9s and exclude a large portion of the citizens of Boca Raton.
Okay, so this is the second option with the driving range in this location. This is the full 9 holes. This is the same back 9 as all 3 options. Option 1, 2, and 3. We felt like that's probably the best way to route 9 holes. And then this is this would be the short course in this location. We would be concerned with this slicing into these houses, so we're not really 100% keen on this idea. We would prefer it over here because we feel it's safer. We have development on both sides of the range, and so we have potential of, we have to make that safe on both sides. So this is our option 1. This is what we feel is really the best alternative to property and the constraints we have. We have the short course up here, and we really feel, because we feel like this is the best property with the most existing elevation changes, that you know, this would not be your typical R3. So I wouldn't make a reference to one that's on the ocean. I wouldn't make a reference to Boca Municipal. We feel like we can make this thing just absolutely fabulous, sensational, tons of elevation, fairway cut, almost wall to wall, so that you could play it even multiple ways. If the golf school or if the universities, you know, we don't know what the deal will be, but let's say they get, you know, a day and they get 5 hours to have whatever they want there. They could play this as, you know, par fours. They could skip a green. They could play it as threes. They could play it as fives. But for the most part, we think it's just a short course is, like Wayne said, just more options for different people. And this 9 holes, we feel it's somewhat similar to what was there. We're very concerned with changing it to like rerouting it in reverse, because all of this slices into the golf, right? So we're not, I saw some plans from other architects that showed, you know, golf holes playing where I-95 is on the slice side of that hole and the development on the slice side, and we just wouldn't be comfortable with that kind of a routing plan. This gives us a 6 acre, which is pretty massive, area to do a great clubhouse and plenty of parking. And the 18th hole finishes at the clubhouse. And then we also were considering a lot with the existing tunnels and the potential of coming across to this parcel. And so we're very concerned with, you know, obviously, as we've heard you, you know, what is this crossing? If worst case scenario, it has to be over the ground, then, you know, we feel like, you know, you were going to hit range balls, you would cross and you come back over, but we have a tunnel with the 2 main 18s, just in case, you know, you weren't going to use the range that day. You know, we would eliminate some of the crossings. But if you have to cross the street, then, you know, maybe you cross it once, you do all of this activity, you come across and you go home, or hopefully you come across, you play here, then you come back and then you use the tunnel back and forth. So, and as Wayne said, I mean, you know, golf design, the fallacy with golf design is, most of this is you pick the best of the worst, right? We don't come with magic wands. We can't create more space. We cannot not create potential hazards. We have to, you know, definitely err on the side of safety. And so based on that, we really feel that option 1 is the best option, all things considering.
Thanks.
I think if we do go back to just option 2 quickly and have a look at this. I think we spoke about the fact that it would be a smaller hotel parcel. The tee area for the short course is located almost as far away as you can get from the clubhouse. So your management of either taking tickets or controlling players going out to play here becomes a real problem, because you probably have to have some kind of control here for the range, and then here. The other thing that we don't really like is the carts going up and down the side of the range, where we don't have, as Tom said, we don't have sufficient space there. So, and just to go to option 1, we really have the best of everything. As Tom said, everything is a compromise, but we really do, you know, we've managed to get 18 holes, a championship golf course, a short course range with learning center, We have a good location for the maintenance center. It's away, we've kept it away from the housing. We've managed to bring that out across next to the railway line, so that any issues with that is far away from any residential that's out there. And I think that what happens with this course now, with this layout, is that this is a golf center. It truly is a destination. If people come here, you can go and play golf 18 holes. Your kid and your father could go and play a short course, or your kid could just spend the day, drop him off in the morning, and just have a day. Maybe you have some kind of ticket where you have access to everything on this side, and you can use the range, you can play a short course, and you're out there for a day. And I don't think there's anything better than that with many other sports. The other thing is, although we've lost the ability to use this really good piece of property, as Tom said, the advantage is now we've put the short course on here. Daisy says it's going to be spectacular. The other thing is, instead of splitting this piece of property with this and having two nines of very different character, you now have the north nine and the south nine. They'll have very similar characters, which makes for a better golf experience in terms of what you expect and what you play out there. Finally, all of these amenities are located around this intersection. It becomes far more manageable with your clubhouse being over here, possibly your hotel, your range, your short course, and whatever ends up in that piece, in the old clubhouse area there. So that's pretty much where we are. I think we've come to a conclusion that in reviewing those objectives again, that without doubt that becomes a world-class facility. It has multiple amenities that are open to everybody. It is a golf destination, particularly if we do the hotel, without question. It's available to all Boca Raton residents. I think it's a great source of being able to attract kids into the game, and it's designed to meet the needs of all skill levels. And whatever course we do, we would conduct a sustainable, environmentally friendly approach. And in speaking, although this has not been updated, the pro formas have not been updated, I know that there's a lot of talk about, well, you're not going to make as much money as 27 holes, or whatever the case may be. But if you did 27 holes here, you lose your range, so you lose your income there. Plus, you lose all your income from all your teaching programs, your ability to go out into the community, to companies, and sell them corporate evenings, to where you can get people to come down, like a team building exercise, come down, play a few holes. Not everybody's played golf, but certainly everybody can go onto that short course and have fun, whether you play golf or not. So it really caters to a much wider group of people. That's our outline on the layouts. I think from now I would like to call on George Garcia to give us a little bit of information on the clubhouse and where he is with that.
Good evening. One of the things I enjoy most about working with my colleagues, and they know it because I'm grateful for them when I work with many other golf course architects, name architects like these gentlemen, is that they literally believe in collaboration. Many times what we get is, okay, we got golf course laid out, and here's where the clubhouse goes, and here's where the other thing goes, and then I go, well, geez, maybe you want to talk to me about this too. Well, we did quite a bit. The Price Fazio team, we spoke of a lot before any lines were drawn about where clubhouses go, why do they go here, what are we trying to achieve, and how do we contribute to this world-class attitude that we're trying to create and the atmosphere that we're trying to, we use the words, a sense of place here. Because one of the things that, as wonderful as a golf course may be, or how great a building we can design, if you don't feel that you've arrived somewhere as a place that has a presence, an approach, and you can tell that it's integrated together with our land planners, our landscape architects, the golf course architects, we really not achieved a lot if it's just a great building that I can show somebody in an isolated picture. We, therefore, even though we still have and we're waiting for information that comes from the user, you, the financial information, etc., we're waiting for programmatic information that we refer to, which is what goes in this place, what goes in these buildings. Frank, we're only as good as that sheet music that you write, then we'll go ahead and play our instruments to it, which is what we do as designers. So what Tom and I spoke plenty about is a couple of things. One is in the sense of the overall picture that we have developed here is that we've got a four corners approach to really know when you get there that you are at Boca National Golf Club. And that consists of course, unfortunately we have three corners very well secured. One that I don't know how I'm going to handle it yet, but we'll find a way, by permission or by doing it and asking for permission later. I shouldn't say that out loud. But we will do something so that this place, when you arrive at the intersection, you know you're there. Then, of course, the approach to and how we enter the clubhouse, how we enter those facilities. And we came up with a couple of ideas. There is no real design involved here. These are place savers, but what we like to do is take off the table any more abstract conversations and begin to speak about things that we can see and discuss so we can critique, get feedback, and go from there. So I think there might be a Roger. Yeah, this is so right now, after much conversation, as Tom said, we have the clubhouse site. This is a site that I threw something down here for consumption. Carol, our landscape architect, and this is the hotel site that has the potential to become more than just your typical 3-star limited services hotel. It can be something else. That's what that shows here. So these are the four corners. Obviously, when you can see that there is, even though I speak about it, we have not engaged in any design to bring that up into the four crucial corners to define the way. We do know that we want to enter the clubhouse we talked about, which that's why this site is so well tuned for that. We know the hotel site, by virtue of a lot of other criteria, is here and the potential for expansion. And then an idea occurred to all of us. If you like it, I'm going to take credit for it. If you don't, it wasn't my idea. That this would be a grand place for perhaps a revenue opportunity, since we need a conference area, which is, I know because we do a lot of clubhouses, the revenue is really fantastic when you have an opportunity to have weddings, bar mitzvahs, PGA, golf tournaments, all those that we need a conference center for. Anywhere from 5 to 10,000 square feet, depending on how much of a market that we feel that is there. And then it occurred to us, gee, if we did that there, and these are, by the way, these areas that you see in these colors are simply to show you the size of something that would be there. That's how big a 20,000 square foot or a clubhouse footprint would be, depending if you went to 1 or 2 stories. This is how much parking, more or less, it begins to take. That's 10,000 square feet of footprint, and that's a hotel. That's purely for place saving only. Do not critique the design, because that is not design, it's just place saving. We did that once, and some of my clients said, I hate to paint the hotel purple. It has nothing to do with that. So I thought I thought it was a great idea, and we shared it, and then we certainly would love to get feedback from whoever wants to give us feedback. And of course, I'm not your business advisor, just your architect, but we tend to want to cross lines that maybe we're not authorized to. But what a great idea that this conference center could feed the clubhouse and could feed the hotel, and it becomes a revenue producer that can be used as a conference area for the hotel people, and then it can literally the clubhouse kitchen can feed it if you wanted to. You don't have to build a whole big kitchen facility here. Just maybe a warming pantry. If you have a wedding, you may not want it catered by the clubhouse. You've got your own because it's your special day for your daughter. So essentially, that's where we are right now, is locating buildings so we can stop speaking, and everybody has a picture when they talk of something. And so we wanted to kind of put lines to the picture so that it can at least be critiqued and we can get the feedback from you. I think Carol's going to speak a little bit about a non-conference center area which can become more of a passive place, and that can be, of course, something that can be integrated into, if we decided to do, we can actually combine both.
From AGT Land Landscape Architects. We did another alternative for the southwest corner of that intersection, showing you a passive park in that area with a walking trail that could be a quarter-mile long, a shelter, and could have seating. We also have shown along Clintmore Road a multi-use path, which we're hoping would connect up to the LMO bike trail. Again, we would have shaded walkways, and just that would fit in very nicely with the aesthetic too of the golf course. And we have the beautification of the intersection. That's not right there in this area. So you can create something really special here, and like George was talking about, sense of place. You would drive up, you would know where you are. You could create a beautiful identity for the golf club. And just as landscape architects, we are waiting for survey information to go further into what we do. And then we would begin analyzing the site also, analyzing the trees that are out there and working with Tom Fazio and Nick Price to relocate trees that are in the way or that would create a better experience for golf. Some trees will remain, and anything that is not doing well, any trees that are in decay, we would be removing and replacing with something better. So, if that's right.
Yeah.
Just to give you an update, the traffic study has not yet commenced. John Donaldson has not begun that because until we understand how many rooms in the hotel, whether we're going to do a conference center or not, we need that information to be able to move forward with the traffic study. The arsenic issue, we intend perhaps later this week to begin taking steps to eliminate that issue and close the monitoring of the wells down. And then, what else? We obviously have, you heard a lot about consultants say they're waiting, and what they're really waiting for is for an approval of what are we going to do 9 plus 18, or whatever your decisions are. But once we get that into place, a lot of them can then begin their work, and design work, golf course design work can begin, or at least more refinement of what we've shown you here tonight can be completed. We also have several consultants to engage, particularly as it relates to financial pro formas. And we have several options for a sustainability consultant, and all of these potential consultants. I will be sending you their information probably this week so that you can review that before moving forward. That's where we are at this point. Thank you very much for coming, and I'll hand it back to Bob.
Wayne, thank you very much to you and your team for the presentation this evening. The next order of business is those that indicated they wish to speak and had questions regarding the presentation. We had cards filled out. You'll not be limited to that, but this will just facilitate the discussion. If there's someone that did not fill out a card and wishes to address the commission and our consultant, you're certainly welcome to do that. We have some mobile mics going around. We'll have some mics that we'll bring around. The first card that I have in front of me is a Ms. Dottie Provenzano. You'll indicate where you are, then we'll get a mic to you.
Okay, here. Still waiting on.
Good evening. Just a couple of things. I was very impressed with all the presentations. It sounds fabulous, it does. But I just want to speak now as a user. I'm not a drug user. I'm a golf user. I'm addicted to golf. I love golf. And I live at Boca Chica. And I live on the north course. So when I see some of these proposals, I'm left a little concerned, because if we want to really be a world-renowned golf course, we need the ability to keep the maintenance. And with Osprey, and every golfer will tell you that Osprey is the most fabulous course around. They can close 9 down, do what they need to do, and keep the other 18 operating. And even though some of these proposals sound fantastic, and I'm going to still have 9 in my backyard with any of these, I don't think it's really in the best interest of the community. And when you talk about the short game, I think we need to remember we have Red Reef right down the street. We have a short course. That's it. Thank you.
The next individual is Amy Neff.
I am the head women's golf coach at Florida Atlantic University, and I think that's one of the big assets to me of that first option, is because of being able to utilize the short course. I know from just the juniors and introducing and growing the game, I understand there is another one, but I think that this sounds as if it would be much done to a different degree and level that would be accommodating for both any age range, and I think again even highly skilled players could benefit from that as well. And then in terms of being able to have just different outings or being able to have that range, I think is a key thing, to be able to utilize that and have, again, the teaching and the instruction that would be beneficial for, again, promoting the game within the community as well.
The next card drawn is Sandra Millet.
Good evening. You did a great presentation. Thank you. I'm thinking out of the box a little. I think that the short course is good because the young people now, they're working, they're hardworking, they don't have a lot of time. And I think that we also need a fitness center somewhere on that property for the families, for the people, for everything. In that fitness center and the short course, you can have young people going to take their children to daycare in one of those facilities. turn around and having the classroom for golf students. The short course can be terrific for that. These people can come in, go to a cafe, have a restaurant next to it, for bigger facilities, like you said, weddings, parties, entertainment. Part of it could be for meeting rooms. But the young people don't have the time. They can play that short course. They can go grab something from the cafe and leave. And they can make a lot of money with the fitness center. But a high-class one, with lockers, steam rooms, the whole thing. So you can make it a completely fitness-oriented place. With the short course, they can get their golf in, and the long course for the people that have the time and have upscaled facilities for a fitness center, which we have no fitness center in this area. Well, we do. We have 2 of them on Yamata Road, but this would be upscale and classic, and they have showers and things. And I also think you should build a parking deck, because you're using land that could be used for other things. Build a parking deck. You can accommodate more cars, more things, and you can go underground with it. You might be able to get the permit. And that's what I think about it, but I'd like to see a short course and a fitness center. Thank you.
Thank you. The next card is Ryan Jameson.
Hi there. My name is Ryan Jameson, and I'm the head men's golf coach at FAU. I just wanted to thank everybody for having the opportunity to speak tonight. Looking into the proposals that were put forth, I think you have a lot of opportunity that if you have the short course, if you have the driving range, you're catering to all different types of golfers. If we put in a 9-hole golf course, 3 separate 9-hole golf courses, you kind of pigeonhole what you're allowing access to as far as the youth, as far as being able to come out and play an hour and a half round of golf, which you could do at a short course. Golf's a long experience. It takes 4.5 hours to go out there and play golf. If you have the short course, if you have the driving range, you can go, at lunch, you can go after work. You have a tremendous amount of opportunity that you can golf throughout your day. I think it gives you a better opportunity to create that 18-hole golf course, which I think will be at a better championship level too as well. Having that space, having the routing, being constricted to 200 acres. If you have the driving range, if you have the short course, you're going to be able to construct a better golf course. And with the options with the teaching facilities, with the options with the range, there's a bunch of things that you can do to create revenue for that place. You just gotta look into that and figure out ways to kind of best utilize that space. And I think for me and for the FAU golf program, we would love it if we would have a space to be able to call, a place where we can go practice and be a part of the community and, hopefully be able to, call Boca National a place where we can call home. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next person, Jason Hagensek.
Me. Good evening. My name is Jason Hagensek, and I am the president and CEO of the YMCA of South Palm Beach County at 6631 Palmetto Circle South. So before I tell you why I'm here, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, but in my YMCA career, I've met a couple of former presidents and a number of governors. My dad has never been impressed. When I get to my car tonight, I want to tell him I met Tom Fazio. That's going to impress my dad, so make sure that we can shake hands so I'm honest. I want to commissioners, this is extremely exciting. Congratulations on getting to this point. Really why I'm here is, as a representative for the YMCA, we would like to partner with the Beach and Parks District in whatever way it is possible and appropriate, whether it's this project, as was said earlier, with the fitness facility and wellness facility. We believe, and was said by George, that it's a sense of place. We often use that in the YMCA to describe what we bring to the community. So we help, we can help the Beach and Parks District create a destination, as was mentioned earlier, and to create that sense of place, not just for golfers, but we do believe that a YMCA presence adds value to any project, and we will help the Beach and Parks District meet the community needs, whether it's with this, and Craig, you mentioned earlier, ocean strengthening. So that's an area that we too would be interested in partnering with the Beach and Parks District, any other nonprofits that might be interested in making sure that that space is programmed to its best purpose as well. So thank you very much for everything that you're doing to benefit the community. We'd like to play an appropriate role. Thank you.
The final card I have is Jane Civil Liberty.
Yeah, thank you for letting the people here in the audience speak. I live at 6200 Northwest 2nd Avenue in Boca, and I think that the layout that you have there right now is great. Hundreds and hundreds of golfers used to go out on Ocean Breeze and play. And they played there because it was 27 holes of golf. And you had the north course, the south course, and the east course. Now that they've closed, these people, and I run into them every day, and I have a group of 10 golfers that we play 3 times a week. We now travel south to Osprey or north to Oka Healy. They all have 27 holes. You have a 27-hole golf course right now that's closed with a driving range. I don't know why you would change it. Everybody was happy with the layout of the course. The problem was that there were so many golfers and the property wasn't kept up to par. By increasing and developing better greens and grass and everything else, you have a very successful layout just the way it is. You have the driving range where it is, and you have 27 holes of golf. And I think that's where you should go. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no further cards, but if there's anyone that feels the urge, raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you.
Hi, Joel Bowie. I live in Camino Gardens, and I have one great presentation, by the way. And, we're part of the Boca Raton Golf Association. We play at the municipal course, and option 1 meets our needs to a T. It's just perfect. Love it, and thank you. I have one question. When I used to work, I made my living as a developer, and I worked with hotel folks, and I really question whether that hotel site, whether a hotel is the highest and best use for that site. There's a real question mark in my mind whether you'll get a hotel developer to go in there. So I'm just thinking if there may not be some better use for that with the golf facility. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Chaffee raised his hand first, so you can go next. I'll get to you two gentlemen.
I'm really impressed with the presentations. They're really beautiful. I mean, any one of these would work. But the only problem that we have basically is flexibility. And flexibility, 27 holes gives you much more flexibility than 18. I'm listening to basically the coaches from FAU, and I'm looking at, originally when we started this project, we wanted to basically bring the community in. We wanted FAU, Lynn University, we wanted corporations, because corporations have no place to play golf. When they come here, they would play, it would be like a camaraderie. But like last year, you can't shut 9 holes down, basically play with only 18. There's plenty of land here, you can still do the learning center, you still do all these things that you want to do. I mentioned before that Condo 9 was actually willing to lease their land up the north end of the golf course. But you have to take all these factors involved. But like I said, I think the 27 and the flexibility of the 27 is maybe the way to go. I don't really believe in a passive park. I know it would be nice because it would be great for the community, but we always vision just golf. We have plenty of parks, we have plenty of places to play, we have all kinds of field sports. Every sport in the world we have here we can play. The only we don't have is golf. We need some place to play golf. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Tom Bassel. I live at 1901 South Ocean Boulevard in Boca Raton. I'm also a member of the Boca Golf Association. Many men and women who play at Boca Municipal Course up on Glades Road. And this evening I've seen how our presenters have benchmarked against Osprey Point and how that facility seems to be so highly praised. But the facts of life are we're not dealing with a lot of space, as the previous speaker said. It's been acknowledged that they're going to have to shoehorn a golf course in it because the space is limited. So I would propose that we benchmark against Boca Municipal Golf Club on Glades Road. It's an 18-hole championship course. It has a driving range. It has an executive course, 9 holes that not only men and women play, but the juniors are also playing, and the seniors and super seniors, like we're going to get to be pretty soon, will enjoy playing an executive course of 9 holes. So I like the way the concept is going. One of the early things I heard, though, was about parking. Where Osprey Point, 220 some odd parking spaces. Boca Chica, 75 or something in that neighborhood. So there is a real issue there. I wish Boca Raton Municipal could take their parking lot and pick it up and put it over at Boca Chica, because they have a very expansive, beautiful parking lot. What I think would help this situation is to forget about this hotel concept. The hotel has failed in the past. I think that we put a beautiful clubhouse up. We forget about the hotel, get the parking spaces cleared up. So any of these extra events that we're talking about in a new and improved clubhouse, there will be people who have a place to park and to be able to attend events that would be going on there. So those are my comments. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Steve Putnick. I live at Fairway Trail, 7790 Fairway Trail on the north end of this area in Hidden Valley. And I love option 1. I think it works great. I was once a youth coach, and having grown up my young boys here in this neighborhood, we used to go to Boca Executive all the time, and we still do and play. In fact, my boys are out there this afternoon. So I think the short course is pivotal for not just the kids, but also the elderly. What is also located about a half mile north on 2nd Avenue is the former Boca Raton Executive Course, which is a course that closed about 13 years ago and will probably never reopen as a golf course. So there were people in the area that were used to an executive course that are no longer playing on a short course. This would allow them an opportunity to be able to find a new home in doing so, and it would fill that void. I don't see necessarily the benefit of a park being located on the southwest corner. I agree with some comments earlier that this is golf. We should be focused on golf, not necessarily on making bike trails. I do see the benefit of this area somehow connecting with the El Rio Trail to the west, but I think a simple path would serve that purpose. The one question I would end on is I don't see in any of the renderings whether or not there is the potential that Jeffrey Street would ever be extended east from this intersection. I assume that's not the case because it seems like this is all green space and a continuation of the plot that currently exists. But there's never been any discussion for Jeffrey Street to ever get extended to the east, right?
I think, Steve, there has been some discussion, but I think there's a lot of problems with that getting across the 2 railroad tracks now, because you've got the Bright Line as well as the other commercial. And it was brought up in a joint meeting with the City Council, and there was no decision made, but it's our hope that we get that road dedicated to us so that Jeffrey would stop at 2nd Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Lily Herbert. I live on the 6100 block of 4th Avenue. And it looks like you're going to have something right behind my house. That whole white area there?
I'm not sure which drawing are you pointing to.
Well, that stand of Australian plants that you're going to take down?
Oh, is that by the driving range?
That whole white area there? Behind, you see it butting up against the houses?
That
The house is right there. Is that going to be a parking lot? What is that?
Wayne, I'm not sure that I know exactly where. We talked about removing some Australian pines, and I think that was by the driving range on option 2, I think, or maybe 3.
I think what George did was he just whited this out, so when he drew in here, he didn't have to have the background. This
right there,
is going to remain exactly what it was. It's going to be a set of T's and it's going to be fairway. It's not going to be, you're going to be separated by.
Thank you, Ms. Vazquez. Mr. McKay, again.
Hello, thank you. I have to agree, first of all, with Tom Fessel about the hotel. I think that we have over 1,000 hotel rooms within 3 miles. We saw with the Wildflower property that most of the residents aren't interested in our municipal government operating a for-profit operation, whether it be a Houston's, and I suspect the hotel might be a similar operation. There's also an additional 80 parking spaces approximately on the northwest corner. So you have about 155 parking spaces. There was frequently 300 golfers a day when Arnold Palmer was operating it with no parking problems. So I think that's, again, supports the 27 holes. I provided you the Palm Beach County financials by golf course, and you can see that the 27-hole golf courses made money. The only area that did not make money for Palm Beach County was the John Prince Learning Center. You have the National Golf Foundation that you spent thousands of dollars for a analysis and a feasibility study. That feasibility study recommends 27 holes. I think that that study also shows that the course will be profitable, starting in year 1 at about $250,000, going up to $500,000 after year 5. That study also shows that the Boca Raton Municipal Golf Course loses about $250,000 a year on average. So if you want financial success, according to the most experienced person in the room, that's the National Golf Foundation, you would stay with 27 holes. So thank you for your help.
Anyone else raise your hand? Seeing none, I would like to thank the audience for coming out this evening, and the 2 particular people we've had with this project for the last 3 years. That's Rob DeCate, the gentleman who spoke last, and Harold Chaffee, who've been religiously attending our meetings and done a great job before this point. And our applause to the rest of you for coming out this evening and listening to and hearing our concept from our architect. We appreciate your comments. We'll certainly have an opportunity to discuss those comments with our architect. We have not selected another meeting date for another community input, but as we get a little further along and where it seems appropriate, I'm sure we'll consider doing just that. So with that, if there are no further questions, thank you again for your patience in coming out this evening. We're sorry for the late start, but thank you very much for your input this evening. Have a good evening. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? All in favor? Opposed, like sign. Thank you.